This is Jeremiah Bourque for Japanese for Beginners. This session covers grammar and the absolute basics thereof. We start with verbs. Phrases like Juniji han desu, gakusei desu, Nihongo desu. These all use a noun plus the existence verb desu. It is written desu, but it is usually said with the dropped u at the end, the dropped vowel, des rather than desu. The textbook says these sentences have no subject. I say baloney. They have subjects, you just don't see them. Sentence order. Instead of I am Sue Kim, the Japanese sentence order reads like this. Watashi wa Sue Kim desu. In this sentence, the verb comes at the end of this sentence rather than at the beginning. Also here, the subject is being shown. The subject is watashi, or I. I am Sue Kim. Now, because this is in response to the question from the previous sessions, what's your major? The following sentence skips saying the subject. The answer would be Nihongo desu. The full version would read, Senmon wa Nihongo desu. My major is Japanese. Now, what is Yamashita-san's occupation, or shigoto? Sensei desu. The full version. Yamashita-san wa sensei desu. Remember that in Tokyo dialect, the u in desu is usually dropped, or at least it's like 80% dropped, and you can barely make it out. As for the question, what nationality are you, or what nationality is this person? Mary-san wa Amerikajin desu. Mary is an American. This wraps up sentence order. However, you may be wondering about this wa word that keeps appearing every so often. We call this a particle. It's a tiny fragment of the language, but in Japanese it serves a very useful purpose. It identifies parts of a sentence. And we'll come back to particles in a little bit. I want to quickly cover singular and plural, because Japanese does not say, I am a teacher, nor does it say, we are teachers, in the same way that English does. It will say singular and plural, but not in the same way. And also, if you're skipping the subject, you don't really see it. So knowing whether it's singular or plural relies on knowing the context, which means knowing the subject even if it's a hidden or implied subject. So, having covered that briefly, we come to the question particle, ka, ka. By placing the particle ka at the end of a sentence, a question is formed. Genki desu ka? Are you feeling well? Ryugakusei desu ka? Are you a foreign exchange student? Senmon wa nan desu ka? What's your major? And then we get to nan being what. Various compounds using nan are used to ask questions, and it's also the root of nani, which is a general what word without any specifics. But in terms of compounds, we have nanji, what time, nansai, what year of age, nannensei, what year student are you? First year, freshman? Second year, sophomore? The textbooks say it is not customary to write a question mark at the end of a question in Japanese. This is true. The particle ka functions as a verbal question mark so that you don't need an actual question mark. However, some people who are deliberately writing in a Western way will put a question mark. They know it's redundant, and they chose not to care. People will do this to be cute, to be modern, and in writing on the internet it does appear, but it's not absolutely necessary. Examples of questions. Ima nanji desu ka? What time is it? Mary-san wa nansai desu ka? How old is Mary? Nan nensei desu ka? What year are you in college? Denwa bango wa nan desu ka? What's your telephone number? This is very important for flirts. Now we get to the particle no. Usually no means no. Here, no means connect. The particle no connects two nouns. However, rather than simply leaving it at that, I want to show you my way of demonstrating the use of the no particle. In Takeshi Son no denwa bango, Takeshi-san's telephone number, I have Takeshi Son left arrow denwa bango. This phone number belongs to Takeshi Son. So there's a connection, but it's not a neutral connection. It's showing that denwa bango belongs to Takeshi Son. In English, we'd put apostrophe S for this usage. Another example. Daigaku no sensei, a college professor. I would have Daigaku left arrow sensei. The professor teaches at a college. Nihongo no gakusei, a Japanese student. That is, in the Japanese language, the subject, the school subject. I would have Nihongo left arrow gakusei to demonstrate the no particle. A student in the school subject, Japanese language. And so we have the many roles of no. The no particle not only indicates the possessive, as in Takeshi's phone number, but it can also be used for the functions achieved by the English words at and in. Exactly which one would be used in what situation, it depends on the subject, it depends on the context. Incidentally, while we're talking about particles, English particles are categorized in this way. Interjections. Hi. Sentence connectors. Well. Tag questions. Didn't they? And conjunctions. But. And those are English particles. One of the core principles of the Japanese language is that the main idea is expressed last in a sentence. Therefore, Japanese saves the best for last. In a previous example, we had Takeshi-san's phone number. The fact it's Takeshi-san's qualifies the fact it is a phone number. The fact it is a phone number stands on its own without further modification. So that stands on its own, but the Takeshi-san part is conditional. It doesn't make any sense until we understand what belongs to Takeshi-san. What's the subject? The phone number is the subject. So the main idea comes last. Takeshi-san no denwa bango. Not that that was a full sentence, because we don't have a verb, but you get the idea. Now, we can talk about Takeshi-san's mother for a moment. Takeshi-san no okasan wa koukou no sensei desu. Takeshi-san's mother is a high school teacher. The part that goes Takeshi-san no okasan, we can treat this for grammatical purposes as one big noun, because as a unit, it goes where a single word noun would go, and in terms of the sentence structure, it behaves exactly the same.